everyone, welcome to Fish Forage Hunt. Tonight we're going to show you how to make our venison smoked cheddar jalapeno sausage. So to start with, we've got some of our nice ground lean venison in here. We've also got some of our pork shoulder. So we tend to do about a 50-50 blend, 50% venison, 50% pork. Again, you can make this as lean as you want. Because this pork shoulder looks pretty lean, I'm adding some bacon or bacon ends to it. So if you can find the bacon ends, they're the best deal. They run about $1.25 a pound at a local butcher. Regular bacon, you want the fattiest bacon that you can find. We have about 10 pounds of the venison. We have 7 pounds or so of the pork shoulder, and then 3 pounds of the bacon bits that we're going to put in. So once all of your meat is added, you want to add your spices, and this is our general spice mixture for this sausage. It's salt, pepper, sugar, smoked paprika, a little bit of allspice, nutmeg, and sometimes a little bit of mustard seed. We'll put it in. So right now, what I usually do to get this well incorporated with the meat is actually dump the spices into this water. This is about 2 cups. And you just kind of mix it up a bit. This kind of helps distribute the spices more throughout the meat. So we're going to go ahead and pour this in. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some fresh garlic. This is some fresh, finely ground jalapeno and all the juices that come with it. You can actually use dehydrated jalapeno if you have it. I just prefer to use the fresh. It adds a little more moisture. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most important things whenever you are making any smoked meat whatsoever. This is, they call it pink salt or InstaCure. You want to make sure that this is in whatever meat you're going to smoke, especially if you're smoking sausages or you're making pastrami's. This is what's going to help keep you from getting poisoned, essentially. The general ratio on this is 1 level teaspoon per 5 pounds of meat. So that again, it is very important that you weigh your meat, especially if you're going to be smoking it, so you get an exact ratio of the pink salt or the InstaCure that you're going to use. So we're going to go ahead and put this in as well. Normally I'll add that into the water as well, but I wanted to show you guys. The next ingredient that I use, this is dehydrated non-fat milk powder. So this is a binder. And binders are usually a bad thing. However, if you're making smoked sausages or really emulsified sausages, it's very good to have because what this does is it binds to the fat that's within your sausage and prevents it from leaching out through the casings while you're smoking it. You can get this at Wegmans. You can also get it at Butcher Packer. One thing to note is you want to make sure that you get this fine powdered milk, not the flakes. You want a very fine powdered milk, non-fat dry milk powder. If you can only find the flakes, you can actually put it in your food processor and grind it up and then weigh it out. Generally, this comes in at a ratio of about 1 cup per 5 pounds. However, ours is a leaner sausage because of the venison. So I cut that into about half, a little over half. We're going to go ahead and add all of this in. So now that we have everything mixed into the cooler, we're going to go ahead and hand mix everything. I swear to God, my next investment's probably going to be a meat mixer because it makes life a lot easier and a lot less cold on the hands. So we're going to pause here while I get all this mixed up. Okay, so here we're just going to cook up a sample of the meat that we just mixed up. Once we make sure that the seasonings are correct on this and the fat level is correct, then we're going to go ahead and softly mix in the cheddar cheese that goes with it because you want to make sure you have nice big fat nodules of cheddar cheese in your output product. Okay, so you want to hear for the sizzling sound, that means, everything's cooking. You can see it's starting to brown a bit. You can see we have a pretty good fat content, but not like overly fatty in the pan. Go ahead and flip it. And the one thing you're going to notice about this versus, say, the bratwurst recipe that you did, is that it's going to look a little pink. The reason for that is that pink salt. So this is also, that pink salt's also going to help to add that red color you're used to seeing in a smoked sausage at the end of it. So once this is all done and cooked up, we're going to taste it, make sure the seasonings are okay, then fold in the cheddar cheese. Okay, so we tasted everything. It seemed pretty spot on, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mix in our high temperature cheddar cheese. That's this. As you can see, it looks it's like little cubes and stuff. Where do you get it from? Yes, you can order it from Amazon. I get this from Butcher Packer. We buy the big lot of it, and it comes out to about $4.50, $4.80 a pound, something like that. On the high end, if you only buy a 1 pound package, I think it's $7 last time I looked. Cheapest around, much cheaper than Amazon. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add this into our mixture. And then we're just gonna slowly fold it in. You don't wanna break up those nice big chunks that you see. Okay, so now that we've folded in the cheese, we're trying out a new sample just to make sure everything tastes okay, that the cheese is melting okay. As you can see, when you gently fold it in after you get done mixing in the spices, you still get these nice big chunks of cheddar. There's also different types of cheese you can use. So you can use they have high temperature pepper jack and sriracha. So you're not just limited to the cheddar. It's all gonna depend on how spicy you like it and what you're looking for. But Butcher Packer and a bunch of other places, they sell a wide variety of different high temperature cheeses. Now, one of the big benefits of high temperature cheese versus the standard cheddar cheese that you're gonna use, look at it in the pan. So this was just on a searing high heat. You can see that it's melty, it's a little gooey, but it's not browning and it's not pouring out of the meat. So if you're using a standard cheddar and you're trying to do something like this, it's gonna melt out, it's gonna ooze out just like it does out of your grilled cheese sandwich, for example. With high temperature cheese, it withstands a much higher temperature before it starts oozing, which makes it very good for smoking meats. So now that we know we have the seasoning and everything correct on it, and the fat content correct, we're gonna go ahead and stuff the sausage. We actually saran wrap our table. It makes cleaning a lot easier. You can use foil, you can use cookie sheets, whatever you want. You just want to make sure the raw meat's not coming directly in contact with your wood surface. You don't want any bacteria, anything leaching into it. Also, it's just kind of gross to have raw meat sitting on your table for extended periods of time. So we saran wrap everything just to make sure everything stays clean. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our 5 pound stuffer and we're gonna take our meat mixture. Again, make sure you keep it cold. If you aren't doing this immediately after mixing, sealed bags of ice on top in your cooler. So make sure they're sealed. You don't want any extra moisture getting into the meat versus, compared to what you wanted in there versus what you don't. If you're doing small batches, 5-10 pounds, just make sure you have enough room in your refrigerator to put the bowls of meat until you're ready to use them. You use them within 24 hours. That's usually the best rule of thumb. Otherwise, you're gonna end up getting it all dried out and kind of gross. So try to do it immediately. If you can't, within 24 hours, just make sure the meat stays ice cold. You do not want to get sick from food poisoning from this. Okay, so now we've got the stuffer stuffed. And I just smeared everything all over the front, but it's okay because it's gonna get dirty anyway. We're gonna lock it into our stuffer right here. We're just gonna put it down just a little bit to lock the container in place. So once you're ready to go, your meat's in, you wanna make sure that you get your casing onto the sausage stuffer. We'd like to use the small to medium nodule. Just put it on like that and just feed it from your bowl of water onto the nozzle. And again, you wanna make sure that your casings, if you're buying them pre-salted versus fresh, you wanna make sure that they are soaking in lukewarm water for about 30 minutes before you put it onto the nozzle. It just helps it slide on a whole lot easier than if you're trying to take it out of the package. Just wash it off and let it go. And this is a really long casing, so it's gonna take a little while. Okay, so now that we've got the sausage casing on, there are 2 schools of thought on this. One is you're going to tie the end. This is what I prefer to do. Just for me, it makes it a little bit easier. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just puncture a small hole right in the end to let some of the air out. The other option is you don't tie it and you don't put the hole in the end, and that also allows all the air out, but it's difficult for me personally at the end to try to not lose meat while trying to tie the end off. So we're gonna go ahead and Scott's gonna feed the meat through the hopper here. And now you just kind of want to control it. This is why it's easier with 2 people. You can see it's coming out. You want to let it slide out naturally. But if you just let it go, it does that, and it winds up. So you don't want it to wind up and leave these giant air pockets. You want it to come through in a controlled, slow motion so that it fills the casing without leaving too many air bubbles. If you do get a bunch of air bubbles, you can fix that later on. We'll show you how. It's just easier and less time consuming to do it right the first time around.
That is some good looking sausage. You can see the cheddar nodules in here from where I'm standing, along with the venison and the fat, so this is looking really delicious. And as with anything with 2 people, communication is good, so I'm almost to the bottom. I have about a third left to go.
And we should have a sufficient amount of casing left to get that all done.
And we're ending there.
Right about here, yep.
And there we go. So there's a little bit of meat left, but Megan's going to take the casing off. She's going to tie it, and then we're going to move on to the next portion where we show you some different ways to link. We also showed that in our last video with the bratwurst, but because this wasn't emulsified, this is going to be a little bit easier to handle. Alright, so we just showed you how to get sausage into the casing. This is what it comes out like. It has a knot on this end, and then we just tied it off. Some casings are long, some casings are small. When you're starting to link your sausages, you want to do the basic twist. So I've got this glove on, so I'm going to load up some more here in a second. But essentially, when you do the basic twist, you're just going to pinch, which is why you don't want to stuff your sausage too full, and then you're going to twist. Now, what we've learned over time is just like coiling up a hose. If I want to do the next sausage, I've got to turn it in the opposite direction. If you don't, this thing starts wrapping up on itself and the tail becomes really messy. So an easy way around that, and to also expedite the process, is instead of doing one at a time, you can pinch here, so it's going to create this link, and then you can pinch here, and then what you can do is just simply start rolling. I've got one sausage between my hand, and it created 2 sausages. So we'll go a little bit bigger on this next one. I pinch here, I'm going to pinch here, nice, lots of room inside the casing, not a problem. And then just like that, you're going to end up in no time with all of your links, and then the next process will be next step in the process will be to hang them up to dry. Hey everybody. So what you saw before is that I linked sausages individually and in a line. The problem with that when you're smoking sausages is that when you go to hang them inside your smoker, they tend to dangle and oftentimes unravel. So we need a more secure way to do this. Now, there are lots of videos out there that you can look at to see the triple way of making sausage links or the double way of making sausage links. And with a sausage link that's this long, we found that the double one is just too hard to do because you end up holding it way above your head and trying to keep it off the floor, twisting, and pulling through. It's a hassle. So over time, play with this. If you screw up, it's not a big deal because these sausages are very forgiving. So let's make a 6 to 7 inch sausage. I'm just gonna make a pinch here and a simple twist. The beautiful thing about this method is that you don't have to twist over and over and over again. A couple twists, that's it. I'm going to lay the first sausage down along the length of the rest of the sausage. I'm going to find where it ends. I'm going to make a pinch, and I'm going to twist, okay? So now that I've got 2 lengths, I'm going to make a third, okay? So I'm going to lay this down against the other 3. I'm going to pinch. I'm going to twist in the opposite direction. And kind of like what we talked about in the first video, when you twist in one direction and then the other direction, what ends up happening is that your sausages, the remainder of the tail stays nice. So now what I have here is I have my first twist, my second twist, and my third twist. Now I'm going to take my first twist and my second twist, and I'm going to put them together so that they hang down. Okay, and I'm just going to twist once, just like that. Now, oops. Doing this a little slow. Okay, and now that I have these 3 sausages hanging on the bottom, I'm going to take this whole length, okay, and I'm going to pull it all the way through until I have 2 lengths of sausages that are roughly the 6 inches each. I'm going to pinch at the top, and I'm going to pinch at the bottom, and I'm going to give it a twist. Okay? Now what I do is I take the tail that's hanging on this end, and I'm going to lift up. Now what you can see here, this is the most important part. This tail that I'm about to pull up is going to cinch the bottom 3 into a bundle. Now the rest of this is very easy. I'm going to take my sausage, I'm going to go up and over the top, and I'm going to pinch, and I'm going to pull it down and through, okay? And then I'm going to make 2 more, I'm going to twist. Okay, now watch this, so that I have my free tail right there where you can see it's still on the table. I'm going to lift up and I'm going to go over the top, pinch this whole section together, and pull through another length of sausage. And again, once I have 2 full, I'm going to pinch at the top, pinch at the bottom, give it a twist. Once I have that twist, now you see how this is coiled through. A lot of people will want to pull up through here. You don't. You simply grab this and grab it on this side, okay, so that your sausage stays nice and untwisted. If I'd pulled through the other side, it would have figure eighted and snaked all the way. I'm going to go over the top, okay, I'm going to pull through, and I make a loop. I pinch at the bottom, I pinch at the top, I twist. Once I twist, I take this length and I pull it back up on the other side. So free side, loop hand. I go over the top and I squeeze all 3, and I go through, over and through, okay? And now I've got another loop. I pinch at the bottom, I pinch at the top, and I twist. Then I lift up on the free side, which again cinches right there in the middle. We go over the top, and we come through. Okay, just like that. Now, again, pinch at the bottom, pinch at the top, I twist, I pull up on the free side, I go over the top, I pinch, and on this one, because we're running out of sausage length, I'm just going to pull this one all the way through. But I've got 3 there, and for the sake of this, to make these even, I'm going to pinch here and simply twist once. Now to show you what the finished product looks like is I've got beautiful triple lengths of sausage, right? So I've got 3s, 3s, and 3s, which will hang very nicely when I lay them over a grate in the smoker. So if you need me to slow this down and show you a different way, if you don't like the angles, please let me know in the comments below and we can make another one. But what I want to show you is that we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, okay? These extra 2, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23 sausages here versus the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19 sausages here. So roughly these are going to take up the same amount of space in the smoker, but these will hang nicely and get that smoke vertically penetrating up through the sausages versus these, which will trap the smoke inside the smoker. Thanks.
Hey guys, yesterday we made and stuffed the sausage. It was snowing, so we actually didn't film the smoking. You can look at one of our previous videos, the cheddar pastrami, if you want to look at our smoker setup. So essentially what we did here is we smoked this sausage for probably about 7.5, 8 hours at about 160 degrees. You really don't want to go above 180 when you're smoking sausage. It lets too much of the fat leach out. As you can see here, we got a nice marbling of the venison, of the pork fat, and of the cheese. Hope you enjoyed the video or found it informative. Let me know if you have any questions.